Hello, I'm Spencer Hawkins, and I'm alongside Charles, Bianca, and Michael, and we are representing Team Canada in the Lessons Learned presentation. Agenda. Today we'll be going over the recent security incident. I'm going to start with an incident overview, then talk about the containment and eradication. I'm going to go over in detail the recovery efforts. Then I'm going to talk about the areas of effectiveness of the team, the areas of improvement for the team, and then the overall information sharing between nations and organizations in the security field. Incident overview. During the Global Economic Summit, the security response team for the Canadian government was notified of a ransomware infection within our internal network. This infection was brought to the attention of the team when an HR manager reached out about their system becoming compromised. Upon investigation, it appears that the initial attack vector was a phishing email, and the malicious actors were leveraging the human vulnerability of untrained users. Fortunately, the security response team was able to act quickly and recover the system without having to pay the ransom. Incident containment and eradication. As previously mentioned, the initial attack vector was a phishing email sent to the HR manager. Within this email was an Excel file containing the malicious code that installed the ransomware found on the device. The HR manager, after noticing the infection, reached out to the security response team, who quickly worked to understand the issue. As a preliminary step in the investigation and recovery efforts, the security response team removed the device from internal network. In doing so, they prevented the spread of the ransomware to additional internal components. From there, the team was able to use Wireshark, OPHCrack, and CryptTool to understand the attack and recover the encrypted data on the system without paying the ransom. For prevention of this type of attack in the future, the team implemented a new set of snort rules designed to identify and stop the activity found within this infection. Incident recovery efforts. The security response team was notified of the infected workstation by the HR manager and immediately went to work in preventing further infection and recovering from the attack. As a preliminary step in the investigation process, the response team removed the employee workstation from the internal network. As previously mentioned, this ensured that further contamination of internal resources was not possible. Then the team was able to use Wireshark to investigate the network activity originating from the impacted machine. As part of this process, the team was able to identify the external entities that the infected workstation had reached out to after the execution of the malicious code. Alongside this discovery, the team identified a cryptogram on the WordPress site that the initial malicious code had communicated with. The security response team was then able to crack the cipher by using a monoalphabetic substitution analyzer on CryptTool. After that, the security response team installed 2 rainbow tables to import into OPHCrack and crack the hash passwords that were then in turn used to recover the encryption key used to encrypt the user workstation. Areas of effectiveness. Fortunately, our security response team was able to quickly and effectively contain the infected user workstation. As mentioned previously, after notification of the infected device, the security response team removed all connectivity between that workstation and the rest of the internal environment. As a result, the team likely prevented further internal systems from becoming compromised. Along those same lines, the team was able to work swiftly to investigate how the infection took place and exactly what the malware was doing. This work was crucial in understanding how the malicious actors intended to compromise our environment and can be used to drive future prevention efforts. Lastly, and most importantly, the security response team was able to save the organization money by recovering from the incident without the need to pay ransom. Areas of improvement. One of the key components to this attack was the user's susceptibility to the initial phishing email. Social engineering is one of the leading causes of security incidences, and fortunately we can reduce the likelihood of this type of attack with the implementation of improved user training. Under this system, we'll be training users on appropriate email security measures as well as testing their overall security awareness aptitude. Ultimately, the goal of this program is to reduce the number of users who will potentially fall for a phishing attack. Similarly, we need to implement more restricted policies for applications that can run on the user's workstations. As part of this attack, the user was able to unknowingly download and run malicious code. Ideally, these types of activities would be only restricted to administrative user roles, preventing the average employee from being able to make the same mistake. For securing our workstations, we will be implementing endpoint security monitoring solutions designed to stop ransomware type attacks from ever occurring. Along those same lines, at the network level, we will be implementing stricter network monitoring in order to quickly discover and prevent these attacks from occurring in the future. Information sharing. Coordination between various nations and organizations is key to the overall improvement of cybersecurity practices. Information sharing between these entities drives future defense mechanisms and can ultimately lead to improved security across the board. By leveraging the skill sets and resources within these other groups, our nation is able to gain exposure to environments and practices that would otherwise be unknown. As a direct result, we may be able to implement security measures that are more effective than we have in place currently. Likewise, coordinations with these other groups in the realm of investigations can help uncover new methodologies leveraged by malicious actors. In cases where attribution to a particular individual or group is difficult, we can still work with these outside groups to understand exactly how and why an attack took place. For this reason, attribution to a particular entity is helpful, but ultimately not necessary for working with other nations or organizations. To share this information, however, secure communication between both entities is crucial to the success of overall collaboration efforts. If we're unable to protect the confidentiality, availability, and integrity of the networks used to communicate with these groups, the initiatives between us can become compromised and ultimately ineffective.